Hi everyone, it's JAMIEZEBRA23 chat. Long time no see, I'm back. Okay, it's been a lot going on, a lot of different things going on. So I think that this video is going to be about the Nigerian guy. So I have no problems with anybody. This is not about discrimination. I know several Kingsleys. One is white, and two are Nigerian. So I just want to narrow this down. I've got no problems with anybody. I'm a person of color. I date everybody. No problems, so nobody be like, oh, she's discriminating. Not doing that over here. Don't believe in discrimination. This is just to kind of a visual for you guys of the story. Okay, so when I first moved to Houston, Texas, I was staying at a hotel with my older brother until we got an apartment. I was staying at the Days Inn downtown Houston. Okay, I don't know if any of you know that place, but yeah, it's pretty wild. Okay, so I needed to take taxis everywhere because I wasn't familiar with Houston. And I was shopping a lot, going to malls because there wasn't anything like that in upstate New York. Houston is like a big city compared to upstate New York. So I was exploring Houston. I was so excited. I'd never been to a big city before. Yeah, I'd passed through New York City before, but never hung out there and never stayed. So I was excited. So my brother was giving me money so I could go, to all these little discount stores or whatnot. There used to be I don't know if they still have the store in Houston. I'm in upstate New York now, but I don't know if they still have that store in Houston. It was called Clothes Max. It was cute little cheap trendy clothes. And then there was a store called Rainbow back in the day. I don't know if they still have that. In New York, we have a store called Delia's. It's kind of similar to Delia's. Or G&G in New York. I don't know if they still have G&G. I haven't seen that in years, but growing up we had G&Gs. It kind of reminds me of Clothes Max and Rainbow that was in Houston. Okay, so moved to Houston. So this Nigerian guy, Kingsley, I won't say his last name, but his name's Kingsley, okay? This guy was 34, I was 17, okay? I had never seen anybody who looked like him before. I'm from a small town in upstate New York. This guy was 6'4". He looked like he worked out every day. He wore cologne. Where I'm from, it's mostly sweaty guys. So it's not yeah. So it's sweaty guys that work on farms. There's nothing wrong with that either. I married two men just like that. So I have no problem with country men. No problem with that at all. So back to the Nigerian guy. Okay, so he picked me up in his taxi several times. He'd take the trip and we go this, that, or the other. Okay, so me and my brother got into a fight and this guy asked me out, this Kingsley. I was fine. I was thinking I'll just go eat and my brother will chill out. He won't be mad at me anymore because I was throwing a fit. When I was younger, I was a little bit brattier than I am now. I used to throw some fits. He goes, you're too big to be having temper tantrums. And I admit I was, but I was having temper tantrums, ripping paper, crying, stomping my feet. I was acting up. It's been a little while since I've done that. So it's yeah, I think I don't do that anymore. I think. All right. So the Nigerian guy. So he's okay. And then I was all right. So we ate. I was this guy took me to this place called Kingfish. It was it was on Fountain View and Westheimer in Houston. I think right now it's a jewelry store called Nazar's Jewelry, but back then it was a really nice Chinese restaurant. So we went there. I didn't really like the food because I'm sure that you guys know that the Chinese food in New York State and the Chinese food in Texas tastes a little different. I'm sure both are great, but once you're used to a certain style, it's hard to be okay, yeah. So anyway, so he took me to this place. I was oh my God, this place is the worst place in the whole world. I was thinking to myself, why did he take me here? I was getting really annoyed. So I went and I used the phone at the front desk of the restaurant to call my brother. He goes, no, you're still kicked out and you're still in big trouble. He goes, you need to fend for yourself for a few days. Then that'll teach you a lesson. So I was F you, and I was acting crazy. So the Nigerian guy said, hey, you can't really scream in here. How about let's go outside? I don't do that in public anymore. I'm definitely a lot calmer now, years later. I don't behave that way anymore. Okay. So the guy was hey, if you don't have a place, you can stay with me. I was for real? I was yeah. let's stick it to my brother. Let's go back to the hotel, get all my stuff, and make him scared that I'm leaving with a man, a Nigerian man. So my brother was like, cool, take her. You can have her. Take her off my hands. You know, man, just keep her. I was like, what the hell? I was thinking he was, he was just talking smack because we're both Pisces. Pisces, we can go toe to toe with a Pisces for sure. So so I'm thinking to myself, okay, yeah, right. So of course at the time I had no interest in this Nigerian guy at all whatsoever. Like no romantic interest. He was just some dude. I was like, kind of thought he was annoying. He happened to be a Capricorn. That may make sense throughout the videos. I have a theme of attracting Capricorns, which there's nothing wrong with Capricorns. I think maybe there's something wrong with me that makes Capricorn act the way they do towards me. So there's nothing wrong with Capricorns. Love Capricorns. My grandma who passed away is a Capricorn, and she's the nicest lady ever. So yeah, so anyway, so back to the story. So I'm moving with this Nigerian guy. So he's like taking me to these African parties, which they were fun. But the ladies started hating on me at these African parties. They're like, that girl's 15. I was almost 18. They're like, she's 15. I just know it. And they were telling him that he was a creep and a pedophile for being with me, and that he needed to take me back to my parents. And I'm like, screw you. And I'm there with my compact and doing my makeup. He's like, please be respectful. I have to show my face around these people again. I was like, whatever. They're talking smack. It's not my fault. They suck. I was something. So, me and this Nigerian guy were fighting all the time. Like, he's like, I think he wanted me to be his girlfriend. So he put up with a lot of crap. I wouldn't have sex with him. I was sleeping on the couch. Then he was like, I'll sleep on the couch. I'll sleep in the bedroom. I'm like, even better. I'll sleep in the bed. You stay your ass out of here. So, so we're fighting and stuff. Everything's getting crazy. Like finally after a few months when I still wouldn't give it up to him, like he was like, well, you need to move out then. If you're not going to, like, if we're not going to be together, like, what are you doing here? You're not paying rent. You're spending my money. You're eating my food. you're running up money on pay-per-view videos. You're doing all sorts of stuff. So I don't know what the statute of limitations are for crimes. So I'm going to say a friend of a friend did this. Not me, a friend of a friend. So a friend of a friend. Okay, so this guy had like a sort of like a rental car service. This is what he did for a living. He had town cars that he would take people to airports, but he also had like a BMW and a Mercedes and things like that. It was kind of like how Uber is now, how you can order like the Uber XL. So he was giving his clients an option of what they wanted to be picked up in and dropped off in. So the limo, the town cars, whatever. And this is all at the Mariner Point Apartments in Houston, Texas. I think it's called something else now, but back then it was called the Mariner Point Apartments. So there was like a big garage in the back where all of his vehicles were parked. So I was like, go F yourself. So what I did was I went over there and I was like, I used to wear like really high platform heels. I don't know if you guys remember like the Spice Girl shoes, like the thick platform sneakers and like the wedge heels. Yeah, so I was wearing heels, like I never not wore heels, like every single, and that's another thing that pissed him off, is because I was always wearing like crop tops with my boob out and my belly showing and, tight jeans, mini skirts and shorts and things. And he's like, why are you walking around like that? He goes, you look like a hooker. I was like, I look cute. So, and I didn't have a car, so I had no problem walking. So people would be like waiting for the bus just to go like a few minutes down the road. I would walk the whole way. I'd walk from like Hillcroft and Westheimer all the way up to the Galleria, no problem, in heels and a mini skirt and whatnot. Yeah, people were beeping and everything. The guys were going crazy. Men were pulling into like just in front of me. Like there was like a Starbucks that used to be right there on the corner of Fountain View and Westheimer. They'd all like pull into there. They'd be like, hey, do you need a ride? Hey, do you need something? So no, not that day I didn't. So I was like kicking his car with those big platform shoes on and denting him up, scratching him up, acting crazy. He locked me out of the apartment, but he was on the third floor. But I always had the sliding glass door unlocked because I broke the lock when we were fighting one time. They had like an arm that would go out. I broke it when we were fighting one time. So I knew it was always open. So I told the guy downstairs. Wait, I didn't do it. A friend of a friend did it. not me. It was a friend of a friend. So statute of limitations. Okay, so I had the guy that lived down below. I promised him something that I never delivered on, and he was pissed off at me. So I promised to do something for him. I told him, yeah, I'm locked down. I have to get my stuff. You know, I don't have my car keys. At the time, I didn't even have a car. I was like, yeah, this or that. Can you just climb up? I promise that the thing's open, and yeah, it's all good and whatnot. So the guy climbed. The guy was like 50, but super tall, thank God. He climbed all the way up there to the very, very top. Here, baby. And he opened the sliding glass door, unlocked my door, and he was like, okay, can we do that now? I was like, sure, but I just need a few minutes, okay? So I was like, I'll go back downstairs when I'm ready, okay? I've got some stuff I have to handle. Yeah. I was like, I've got kids. They're at the daycare. I got to pick them up soon. I didn't have any kids. So he's like, oh, all right. Yeah. So I locked the door, okay? So then, like, I'm telling you, just as I'm locking the door, guess who's there? Kingsley shows up. So I have both locks. He's putting his lock in the door. He can't unlock the door because I've got both locks at the time. I've got both locks locked. So I'm like, oh, hell. He's probably going to call the cops if I don't unlock the door. So I unlocked the door. He goes, what are you doing in here? How did you get here? I was like, you left the door unlocked. He goes, you liar. I was like, I'm not lying. And then he sees the patio door open. He goes, oh, because you broke the patio. He goes, is that why you broke the patio door? So you could break in at any time? He goes, I don't know who you are. I don't know where you came from. He goes, you're nothing like anything I've ever seen before. So he called his friend, some elder from the church, to come talk to me, to talk some sense into me. And the elder was like, you're just a sweet young lady. I think you're just misunderstood. He goes, so he tells Kingsley, you know, you're being too hard on her. You know, at this time, like, everything's smashed in his house. Like, he's looking around. I swear he bursted into tears when the elder told him that he needed to take it easy on me. He goes, she couldn't quite possibly be doing those things. Look at her. Oh, at the time I had an eating disorder as well. So I was like 100 pounds. Like, I wouldn't eat for like 3 weeks at a time. I've always had like eating disorders, so that's just something, you know, my weight fluctuates drastically. So I'll be skinny for like 5 years, and then chubby for 2 years, and then skinny again. You know, it just goes back and forth like a yo-yo. So, and I'm like, yeah, and I haven't eaten in 3 weeks. He goes, it's because she won't eat. He goes, the elder goes, he said something in his language, like, hey, you, like, it was to the gist of, come on, man, for 3 weeks, you starved this poor little girl for 3 weeks. I'm like, my ribs are showing, because the bones in my hips were sticking out, and my ribs, because I wanted it to. I like that. I thought that looked nice. So, yeah. So, I'm like, yeah, look, my ribs are showing. So anyway, so the elder left. He was like, okay, I've had enough of this. He just gave me a dirty look, and he goes, can you get off the couch? I want to go to bed. Okay, so, guys, I'm not like this anymore, so please, nobody judge me. I came from a broken home. Yeah. So, during one of my walks up Westheimer, a man pulled in and was like, hey, do you need a ride? I was like, actually, yeah, my shoe feels a little bit broken. Give me a ride. So he gave me a ride to the Galleria. And that guy turned, so that's going to be the next story. The illegal immigrant from Guatemala. So my first son's father, my 17-year-old son's father, gave me a ride to the Galleria. He's like, do you want me to wait for you? I'm like, I might be in there for hours. You got the time to wait? I'm like, it might be a long, long time, sucker. And, you know, I'm just like, just rolling my eyes and just being a major biatch. And this guy was like, yeah, I'll wait forever. I was like, okay. And please, nobody take offense to this, okay? So keep in mind, I'm from upstate New York. In upstate New York, at least where I'm from, there were no Latino people there. There were no Hispanic people there. Never met a Nigerian over there. Nothing. You know, I was the only black girl in the town. I'm biracial. Yeah. So I had never met a guy like him. So the only word that I knew in Spanish was muchacha. So I started calling him muchacha. His name's Juan. So muchacha. Oh, and puppy. Oh, I gotta add puppy. Okay, so I get down in the Galleria, and then Muchacha, aka Juan's dad, my very first husband, Muchacha, Juan's dad. That's not his name, but that was his nickname forever. So he gave me a ride to Kingsley's. He's helped me bring up the bags and stuff like that. And Kingsley's just looking at me like, "Who's this man?" Oh, here, baby. Sorry. Here. He's like, "Who's this? Who's this dude?" I'm like, "Oh, he gave me a ride to the Galleria and dropped me off." The guy was like, the muchacha, Juan's dad was like, "Hey, are you hungry or something?" Be careful, baby. He was like, "Are you hungry or something? Do you need anything? Do you have money? Do you need something?" I was like, "Yeah, you have money? Sure, give it to me." He opened up his wallet. He goes, "How much do you need?" I grabbed the wallet and I'm like, "Can I have all of it?" He goes, "Okay." I was like, "All right, see you later." He goes, "Well, don't you want my phone number? How are we going to get back in contact?" So Kingsley's just looking at me like really, really pissed off. He's slamming doors. You know, he threw the remote on the couch. So I was like, "Yeah, I'll just give you a call, all right?" Right? So he left and I needed a ride somewhere because I was almost 18. So I had a plan. There was a lot of things I couldn't do at 17 that I could do at 18. So I had a plan. So that's where Muchacha comes in. So Kingsley ended up, so this is only going to be one video about him because I don't want to drag this shit out. It's a lot and I don't want, law enforcement coming to get me. Not that I did anything illegal. I would never. But, so then another time on my walks up Westheimer, I met an Iranian guy. His name was Muhammad, but I named him Puppy. Because it seemed like every time I would kick him, he would come running back like a puppy. So I think he was 70 years old, 65, 70, but he wasn't like a typical 70-year-old. The guy was like going out and partying and, hanging out and doing whatever. So, so Puppy started giving me like all sorts of money. I didn't do anything with him. He had erectile dysfunction. So we didn't do anything. He just loved to look at me and he was like, "You're so pretty and you're so nice and what a nice girl. And do you want me to, get you a high rise? Do you want me to take you to River Oaks and get you something to move out with that Nigerian guy?" I was like, "No." Because I was kind of okay with living with the Nigerian guy. Of course, I had the upper hand. I was calling the shots in his apartment. So Puppy, Muhammad, the Iranian guy, went and talked to Kingsley and said, "Hey, man, it looks like she's not really happy here. I can take her off your hands if you want." So I was like, "But I don't want to move out." And I was like, "Kingsley, I'm not moving." He goes, "Well, maybe you should just go with him, so I can start dating." He goes, I would like to have a dating life. So at this time, I've living with this guy for almost a year now. Oh, my brother. So my brother got back in the picture, but by the time he told me to come back to the hotel, I was like, "No, I'm staying over here, whatever. I'm able, my brother's not bossing me around," which he was just trying to protect me, of course. He wasn't bossing me around. So then my brother started having trouble. "Oh, I don't want to use this because it's dirty." No, baby. Mommy doesn't want that straw because it's dirty. So my brother started having some financial problems himself. So he ended up moving in with Kingsley and me. So my brother was a homosexual, which there's nothing wrong with that. I don't judge anybody. I'm not God. I don't judge. Yeah. So, and my brother was the best thing ever. So yeah. But anyway, so my brother moved in and Kingsley had a problem with gay people. So I'm like, "Hey, you're discriminating. I don't put up with that crap. I thought you said you were a man of God. A man of God wouldn't be discriminating," which I don't think a man of God could be discriminating, right? Because we're supposed to not judge. We're supposed to love our neighbors. I mean, if this is, I don't think it's a sin, but if it really is a sin, if it turns out to be, which I don't think it is, I'm not going to be answering for what somebody else did in their bedroom. So what the hell do I care what they do, right? So, let me sit. Okay. Sorry guys, I just want to make sure I'm not late. I have something to do. Ooh, okay. Let's see. 8, okay. I got time. All right, so so my brother came to stay with us. Stay at Kingsley's. Now it's Kingsley's apartment, his 1-bedroom apartment with me, my brother, and my drama. So me and my brother start arguing all the time. We're slamming stuff. My brother was like, you know, well, I'm inviting this person over, I'm inviting that person over, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I'm like, well, I'm having people over too. So me and my brother are like bickering back and forth. Keep in mind, my brother's like 30 and I'm almost 18. So my brother and I, we had like the same personality. So anyway, so then when we would be friends, we'd be double teaming Kingsley. So I told Puppy, so back to Puppy, the Iranian. So Puppy offered Kingsley money to kick me out so that I could live with him. I know, guys, you're probably thinking, Jamie, you're like really a bad person. I didn't. So Muchacha, the Guatemalan, changed my life. And I was never that way again. Because of him, I turned my life around. You know, he put me on the straight and narrow for sure. So, because I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. I didn't think any of these behaviors were wrong. I didn't think anything like that. I thought this was all like what I was supposed to be doing. So anyway, so Puppy, I told him I wanted a little dog. So he went and got me a Pomeranian. And then, you know, I'm not this person anymore. I'm different now, guys. I'm different. I was 17, almost 18 at the time. So he got me a Pomeranian and, you know, I didn't have any money. How am I going to take care of a dog? So Kingsley ended up having to take the dog. He had to make it his dog. Because I was never, so by this time I'm full on with Muchacha. Muchacha's picking me up, dropping me off at, you know, at places. I tried to waitress for a little while. I worked at a Mediterranean restaurant called Al Diwan. And I was getting waitressing jobs. You know, he's picking me up, he's dropping me off here, there, everywhere. You know, I'm quitting jobs left and right. He's like, oh, you know, he's like, I kind of have to go to work. I'm like, well, if you're not going to pick me up, then I don't ever want to see you again. So, you know, by this time, okay, I'm working, I'm making a good amount of money. I end up getting my own apartment, the Oxford on Green Ridge Apartments in Houston. So I end up living there, and I dropped Kingsley. Barely ever talked to him. He lived right down the street. He would try to contact me and talk to me. I wouldn't. So Muchacha was kind of jealous and possessive, and he felt like things should go a certain way. So he had me drop Kingsley, couldn't even talk to him. Had me drop Puppy, couldn't even talk to him. There was another guy named Jason with a Corvette. That guy took me on vacation to Mexico and all sorts of stuff. So Muchacha, Juan, my first husband, he made me stop talking to everybody. He basically told everybody, listen, you know, that old Jamie's gone. She's going to get on the straight and narrow now. She's going to be a nice girl. This is that. You know, she's going to be a normal person. So no more of this. So poof, overnight, I'm like basically learning the ropes of how to behave myself. It was not easy. I would have slip-ups. I would act up a lot. Yeah. So I'm going to leave it here. And then the next video may or may not be about Muchacha, because I think he would get really pissed off at me as if he ever found out I did a video about him, because he's a very private guy. I think he would be really, really mad. So I don't know if I should, so I'm just going to leave it at that. All right, guys, JAMIEZEBRA23 chat. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Ta-ta for now.